In life, everyone faces challenges that are unavoidable. Mistakes, failed strategies, and attacks that backfire not only affect the individual, but can also alter the fate of those involved. Especially in politics, where every action can have far-reaching consequences, making a decision without thorough preparation can lead to difficult failures that are hard to fix. This is the valuable lesson from Donald Trump's story during his recent attack campaign. A strategy that seemed smart and powerful turned into a major setback, not only weakening his position in the eyes of the public, but also sparking a strong wave of backlash from both the public and his opponents. Yet, it is in these failures that we find valuable lessons about adaptability, the ability to self-correct, and how to rebuild one's image in an ever-changing political landscape. This story is not just about a prominent figure in politics, but also about how each of us can rise from mistakes, learn, and start over. Detailed analysis, the context of the attack. In any political battle, the context is a decisive factor determining the effectiveness of the strategies deployed. For Donald Trump, a figure always prominent with a confrontational and aggressive political style, launching a political attack is not only a strategic move but also reflects his mindset and deeper objectives in each specific phase. This attack took place in a highly volatile political context where factions fiercely compete for power and public influence. The intense internal political tensions in the United States, combined with complex social and economic issues and diverse public opinions, created a complicated and unpredictable atmosphere. In this situation, Trump chose to launch an attack aimed at undermining the credibility of his opponents, specifically targeting individuals, groups, or topics that could threaten his position. The clear tactical goal was to destabilize the opponent's voter base, provoke internal division, and simultaneously reinforce the image of a strong, determined leader in the eyes of his supporters. However, the timing of this attack also contained hidden risks. The rise of social media means information spreads rapidly and in many different directions, complicating the control of public opinion. Additionally, social polarization and the multifaceted reactions from various voter groups made any attack action prone to distortion or backlash. Moreover, in today's global context, where high attention is paid to ethics, social justice, and political transparency, any tactic involving personal or group attacks can easily be criticized as negative, divisive, or unconstructive. Therefore, Trump's initiation of the attack in such a context exposed him to great risks of backfire, as the public might not only disagree, but also turn to criticize him, weakening his personal image and campaign. Thus, the context of the attack was not simply a moment in the political timeline, but a minefield requiring careful consideration and calculation. The failure to anticipate all variables in this context contributed significantly to the attack becoming a surprising and seriously backfiring failure for Trump. The reasons behind Trump's attack backfiring: a comprehensive failure. In politics, especially for a figure as controversial as Donald Trump, attacks against opponents are a double-edged sword. When used at the right time and in the right way, they can become sharp weapons to strengthen one's position. However, if misused, they can easily become a self-destruct weapon, leading to unforeseen failures. The recent backfire of Trump's attack campaign, resulting in a surprising defeat, is a clear example of this. One of the fundamental causes of this failure was a misjudgment of the current political and social context. America is deeply polarized, facing social instability and heightened sensitivity to issues of racial discrimination, gender, and political extremism. Trump and his team failed to properly assess these sensitivities, leading them to launch an attack strategy in a volatile environment where any action could provoke fierce public reactions. This backlash was further amplified by social media, where information spreads rapidly and uncontrollably, making image control nearly impossible. Next, A critical factor in the campaign's failure was the lack of subtlety in message delivery. An effective attack strategy is not merely about strong rhetoric or sharp criticism, it requires balance and tact to avoid alienating key or neutral audiences. However, Trump's message in this campaign was extreme, provocative, and deeply divisive, causing many not only to disagree but to feel offended. Instead of focusing on substantive policy issues or genuine weaknesses, opponents, the campaign overly emphasized harsh personal attacks, which generated a backlash and diminished Trump's own credibility. Another clear weakness was inadequate preparation for counterreactions. In modern politics, especially in the digital age, every campaign must anticipate and prepare for negative responses. Unfortunately, Trump and his team seemed to lack a flexible, well-planned approach to handle unexpected situations. As opponents fully exploited weaknesses in Trump's tactics with sharp and continuous counterattacks, he failed to respond in a timely manner, worsening the situation. This failure not only meant the campaign's objectives were unmet but also eroded supporters' trust and empowered opponents. Furthermore, today's highly polarized media environment posed an additional challenge to any campaign, especially attack campaigns. Polarized media create two very different streams of public opinion. While pro-Trump media may try to highlight positive aspects, opposition media focus on exploiting every weakness to damage his image. This division made the attack campaign prone to distortion and negative exploitation, intensifying the backlash. Finally, internal factors also played a significant role in the failure. A campaign requires absolute coordination and consensus internally to convey a unified, strong message. If internal divisions, conflicts, or a lack of agreement about direction exist, they create vulnerabilities easily exploited by opponents and weaken the campaign's power. There were indications that Trump did not receive full support or face disagreements within his team, causing leaks, internal communication conflicts, and reducing the effectiveness of the attack campaign. Thus, the failure of the attack was not a random event but the inevitable result of a combination of many factors. Misjudging the social and political context, delivering messages without tact and appropriateness, poor preparation for backlash, a polarized media environment, and lack of internal consensus. Each factor combined to create a domino effect leading to the campaign's severe failure. Recognizing these reasons clearly is essential for Trump and his team to learn, adjust strategies in the future, and avoid repeating similar mistakes. In politics, the ability to adapt and change promptly is a vital factor to maintain lasting influence and position. The consequences of failure, deep and lasting impacts. The failure of a political attack campaign is not merely a temporary event that leaves deep and wide-ranging consequences affecting individuals, groups, and the entire socio-political landscape. For Donald Trump, the unexpected failure of his backfiring attack campaign has triggered a series of serious repercussions, significantly diminishing his personal credibility, shaking the trust of his supporters, while simultaneously providing opportunities for opponents to strengthen their influence and power. First and foremost, the most immediately visible consequence is the severe decline in Trump's personal image and credibility. The backfiring attack strategy not only stripped away the campaign's communicative strength, but also became a tool for opponents and public opinion to criticize him. The public began to see him no longer as the strong, decisive leader he once was, but rather as a figure who appeared out of control, divisive, and irresponsible in leadership style. This damage to his image reduced his ability to attract broad support and directly impacted his current and future political campaigns. Moreover, the failure of this campaign has exacerbated societal polarization and division in an already sensitive and complex social environment. The extreme statements and actions involved in the attack further intensified conflicts among already divided social groups, creating an atmosphere of tension, discomfort, and disunity. This, in turn, negatively affected social harmony and weakened trust in democratic institutions, as opposing factions struggled to find common ground, impeding the society's harmonious development. Another consequence lies in the impact on the loyalty of supporters. Although Trump supporters are generally cohesive and protective, when an attack campaign fails and backfires, some may begin to doubt his leadership abilities and strategy. This internal rift diminishes morale and unity within his support base, negatively affecting efforts to mobilize support and conduct future campaigns, making it more difficult to maintain a solid political foundation. Trump's failure also equates to a significant gain for the opposition. Every weakness and mistake in Trump's attack campaign becomes ammunition for opponents to build counter-messages, differentiate themselves, and attract public attention. Their strength and credibility are enhanced, shifting the balance of power in political contests and pushing Trump into a weaker position in upcoming elections and political mobilizations. Additionally, these negative effects are not confined to the immediate moment but extend over time, impacting Trump's future plans and campaigns. Loss of trust and credibility complicates resource mobilization and campaigning efforts like never before. Furthermore, failure in attack tactics leads the team to be more cautious and hesitant in employing similar methods, thereby reducing flexibility and adaptability in future campaigns. Finally, the failure of the backfiring attack contributes to reshaping the overall political and social landscape. It increases public skepticism and disappointment, reduces active civic participation, and undermines trust in leaders and the political system as a whole. These consequences pose great challenges not only for Trump personally, but also for the entire political environment of the United States in the years ahead. In summary, Trump's failure in a backfiring attack is not a standalone incident but generates a chain of profound and lasting consequences, comprehensively affecting himself, his supporters, his opponents, and society at large. Recognizing and confronting these consequences will be an essential step for Trump and his team to adjust strategies, restore credibility, and better prepare for future political challenges. Lessons learned and future predictions, necessary directions, and the political outlook ahead. Every failure, whether big or small, is a valuable source of learning in any journey, especially in politics, a field full of volatility and fierce competition. The unexpected failure of Donald Trump following his backfiring attack campaign is not only a profound lesson for himself, but also a broader warning signal about the necessary changes in modern political operations and behavior. From the mistakes made, many important lessons can be drawn to move toward more effective strategies in the future. First and foremost, the greatest lesson is the necessity for caution and thorough calculation before launching any attack campaign. In today's era, society and media develop rapidly, with social networks spreading information extensively, making public opinion difficult to control. A campaign that is not carefully prepared in terms of messaging, scripting, and anticipated reactions can easily become a double-edged sword, seriously damaging the initiator's image. Therefore, fairly researching the social, cultural, and political context and predicting possible reactions is mandatory. Alongside this, a constructive spirit rather than mere personal criticism is also an important lesson for future political campaigns. Focusing on policy issues and proposing concrete solutions instead of crude personal attacks will help build a positive image, gain public favor, and avoid deep polarization in society. This also helps increase consensus and broaden influence among voter communities. Additionally, adaptability and flexibility in adjusting strategies are vital to maintaining and developing political standing. The recent failure showed that rigidity with an outdated or ineffective tactic only increases losses. A successful leader and team need to listen to feedback, objectively assess reality, and be ready to change when necessary to better meet public needs and sentiments. Based on these lessons, several directions and outlooks can be predicted for Donald Trump's future as well as the broader political landscape. In the short term, Trump may reduce the use of negative personal attack tactics and instead focus more on building a positive image, presenting clearer and more persuasive policies to regain voter trust. Improving communication skills and delivering messages more tactfully and in accordance with the social context will also be top priorities. In the long term, if Trump and his team know how to leverage these valuable lessons, he could gradually restore his position rebuild trust, and prepare well for future election campaigns or political mobilizations. However, increasingly fierce political competition, a complex media environment, and persistent social polarization remain significant challenges he must confront. Moreover, changes in voting trends, younger voter groups with fresh perspectives, and the rising role of digital platforms will create both opportunities and challenges for any politician, including Trump. Therefore, adapting to the new environment, innovating approaches, and actively engaging with diverse voter groups will be keys to future success. In summary, the failure in the backfiring attack campaign is a crucial turning point that forces Donald Trump and his team to reconsider, learn, and adjust. If harnessed properly, this can transform difficulties into opportunities for stronger development and contribute to reshaping the American political landscape in the coming years. General conclusion and action recommendations. Donald Trump's failure in the backfiring attack campaign has left profound lessons, not only for himself, but also for his entire campaign team and those interested in modern politics. This event demonstrates that maintaining influence and standing in an increasingly complex political environment requires greater sensitivity, wisdom, and flexibility than ever before. First and foremost, Trump needs to accept the limitations of personal confrontation tactics and shift towards building an image based on sincerity, transparency, and clear, persuasive policy solutions. This change will not only help regain public trust but also contribute to reducing division and conflict within society. His team must also establish mechanisms for analysis, forecasting, and flexible response to social and media reactions, especially in the digital era where information spreads rapidly and multi-directionally. Developing comprehensive communication scenarios while focusing on training communication skills for Trump and key members will help minimize image risks and enhance communication effectiveness. Additionally, Trump should strengthen internal unity and improve coordination among campaign divisions to ensure consistent messaging and avoid internal conflicts that weaken the overall strategy. Consensus and coherence within the team will provide a solid foundation for rebuilding his image and developing more effective future campaigns. Looking ahead, with appropriate adjustments, Trump can gradually restore his political standing and seize new opportunities in an ever-changing political landscape. However, he will face significant challenges such as fierce competition from opponents, the complexity of modern media, and rapid changes in voter behavior and electoral trends. Ultimately, this failure is not an end but an opportunity for Trump to learn, innovate, and grow. Flexibility, self-reflection, and renewal are the decisive factors that will help him maintain influence and succeed in the future. For all leaders and political participants, this serves as an important reminder of the necessity of adaptability, responsibility, and a constructive spirit in a constantly changing world. Six, action plans and reconstruction strategies. In the face of the serious consequences stemming from the backfiring attack, Donald Trump and his team need to swiftly implement specific action plans to minimize negative impacts and sustainably rebuild their image and political influence. First and foremost, repositioning the political message is the top priority. Trump should shift from personal attack tactics to campaigns focused on concrete policies and feasible solutions to social and economic issues that concern voters. The message must be built on sincerity, transparency, and a clear commitment to the common good, helping to restore trust and consensus among diverse voter groups. Simultaneously, Trump must heavily invest in multidimensional communication activities, leveraging the power of modern digital platforms such as social media, podcasts, and live videos to enhance interaction and deliver messages accurately and swiftly. Creating educational and constructive content will help change negative perceptions while amplifying the effectiveness of communication outreach. The campaign team also needs to strengthen internal coordination, establish continuous monitoring and feedback systems to promptly adjust strategies based on social responses and public opinion. unity within the team, and message consistency will create a synergistic effect, limit information gaps, and reduce emerging risks. Additionally, establishing direct engagement and dialogue activities with voter groups, especially neutral and undecided ones, will help Trump better understand the public's sentiments and aspirations. This not only aids in better policy adjustment but also builds the image of a leader who is approachable, listens, and respects diverse viewpoints. In the long term, Trump needs to develop leadership, communication, and crisis management training programs for himself and his team. Enhancing these capabilities will improve responsiveness to unexpected situations, boost adaptability, and foster sustainable strategy development. Finally, Trump should aim to build a positive, harmonious, and responsible political image. This requires profound changes in approach, particularly avoiding divisive and negative tactics, instead focusing on uniting social groups and building a shared future. In summary, quickly adopting appropriate action plans and reconstruction strategies will help Donald Trump gradually overcome current difficulties, regain credibility and influence, and better prepare for upcoming political challenges.